Brambro back with some Grand Tactician Civil War, our CSA campaign in the 1.06 beta. Okay, so where are we at? In the last episode, there was yet another battle fought in the right here around Cincinnati, and that's where we left off. There was a retreat, and Cincinnati has been recaptured and is once again Confederate occupied. Coming out of that battle, I mentioned it, but I forgot to look while I was still recording. We did capture a fair amount of weapons. Not exactly sure what kind of infantry small arms we got. Nothing jumped out at me. But we also captured a fair number of artillery pieces. And it turned out that we got quite a few, about 40 or 50 each, of 10-pounder Parrots and 3-inch ordnance rifles, which is pretty nice. Our main rifled artillery is the 14-pounder James, which is good. It's a very accurate artillery piece. However, it's the James's range is not appreciably longer than smoothbores. In fact, I think it's actually a little bit shorter than 12-pounder Napoleon smoothbores. And earlier in the campaign, when I made the decision to go ahead and okay, we're just going to go with the 14-pounder James, I didn't really factor that in. It is giving us a lot more artillery accuracy, so you know, it's still an improvement over the smoothbores, but not as much range. And some more 10-pounder Parrot and 3-inch ordnance rifle battalions out there will do that for us. And so I did farm those out. There was enough there for about 6 battalions, I think. And so I sent some of them, one of the corps, I forget which one, I think it's Garnett's Corps, in the Army of Western Virginia. I changed out his Jameses for some of the longer range ones. I don't remember if it was 3-inch or Parrots. And then one of the corps in the Army of Tennessee has got some longer range rifles as well. And the reason I went with these two armies is because these are the two armies that are kind of doing the lion's share of the fighting right now, here in all the fighting that's going on along the Ohio River. While on the subject of artillery, I had mentioned during the last battle that I decided maybe I should put some of these smoothbore battalions back in the infantry divisions like I have done in the past in earlier campaigns. And I went ahead and did that. Just take a look at one of the, well, not that one, but yeah, so like the Army of Kentucky here under Cooper, Joe Johnston's Corps, I took some smoothbores out, and what I did was, so the way I'm doing it now is, I've got 7 brigades in each corps. I've got like a fat infantry corps, and that's kind of the center force, with 3 brigades and then 2 brigade kind of flanking divisions. So I put a smoothbore battalion in each one of the 2 brigade divisions like you see here. So kind of what I've gone to now is a standard organization of 3 rifled artillery battalions in an artillery division. And then there's 2 smoothbore battalions with the infantry, specifically under the flank infantry division commanders. And I've done that in most of. I think I've managed to do that in every corps. Okay, so I think that covers artillery. Mentioned at the last episode that my 3rd try now at getting a force together to come over here and take Cairo, Illinois. That force has been formed. I elevated, and the game spawned them at Knoxville, so they're making their way over. So I elevated, this is the Army of West Tennessee, I elevated Hardy to Army Command, so he's got that Army. And for right now, it's the 1 Corps. And it is under the command of Richard Anderson. Promoted him from divisional command in one of the other armies, and he's got this corps. Right now, it's still a little small. There's only 4 brigades in Anderson's corps and 3 artillery battalions. But here at Nashville, Bragg's recruitment command has got more forces being recruited to fill that corps out. But I'm not waiting for them. Now, had the men there, but they're still transferring to Anderson's corps. Once that initial bunch shows up, right now, Hardy and Anderson are taking rail up to Nashville. By the time they get there, I think they'll pretty much have their brigades, and then they'll just use river transport and come in straight to Cairo. The other thing that I forgot to look at after this battle up here at Cincinnati, I mentioned it, but forgot to look at it while I was still recording, is the POW camps, just to show that that bug has been fixed. I did look after I stopped recording, but before I exited the game, saved and exited. And there were prisoners there. Now, later, I have exited the game and reloaded a save. So, are they still there? And the answer is yes. Yes, they are. Got almost 1,700 prisoners at the Columbus prison camp, which is kind of the main prison camp. And we have 1,000 full capacity at Madison. The Talladega and Mobile camps are still empty. Right, so that bug has been fixed, and that's cool. Now, even before, with these capacities, it wasn't clear to me it's really worth doing it, but we're doing the 1.06 thing and playing with the toys, so I am going to. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to upgrade all of them. That's Mobile. That's Talladega. And this is pretty expensive. This is popping me for... We're going to wind up spending like $25 million on this. And where's Madison? There it is. Okay. So that cost almost $9 million a piece, so somewhere in the neighborhood of $26.5 million to upgrade those 3. Columbus, of course, was already upgraded. That gives us 4 upgraded POW camps with a combined capacity of 10,000 before we reach overcrowding. And then what I think I'm going to do is when we do reach overcrowding, I am going to empty one. This is going to be, I'm sure, a couple episodes in the future, but once we do reach overcrowding, I'm going to empty 1 camp just to make sure that if you parole from a camp, that it only affects that 1 camp and doesn't affect the entire system and zero out all your prisoners. So we'll see how that goes whenever that time comes. It's still a ways in the future. After that, I think what I'm going to do is just let them overcrowd and see if before the campaign ends, if we get a sense of just how much overcrowding affects enemy state support. Maybe it'll be visible. Maybe it'll be a big effect. Maybe it won't be apparent at all. So we'll see how that looks. Worth noting, so the Union is kind of hanging in there in the low 50s for national morale. Partly because, it's got to be said, partly because we're kind of letting them. But their state support's actually pretty high still. and it's actually a little bit higher than ours. Let's take a look at the support map just while we're talking about it. So Virginia, I'm hoping that with the capture of Grafton and then most recently Wheeling, that Virginia stops dropping. They've gotten to 70%. We'll have to see how that pans out. Kentucky actually got up to 70, but is now down to 69. Some of our other states, they're still high, starting to drop though. Alabama was around 99 or 100, down to 90. And Tennessee has dropped a few points as well. So these are all still very high. We're not in trouble, but we are starting to see a little bit of loss of state support. And I think that's explained by some of the policies that I've taken where, you know, basically we could afford the state support losses from things like the draft, conscription rather. And I don't know. Have we finished? I think we're still working on impressment. That'll be done in less than 2 days. And that's going to drop support a little bit too. I am kind of happy that I got Wheeling and Grafton captured before impressment finished. Okay, what else we got going on? We'll turn that overlay off. Our new Blockade fleet is now green readiness, ready to go down here at Norfolk, Virginia. And somebody brought up a good point. My intention had been to bring them up here to the northern part of the Chesapeake Bay to blockade Baltimore and Annapolis. And one commenter pointed out, well, if you kind of put him over here off Cape May, that block, you know, his area of effect will extend. And you could actually get a couple more ports up here around Philadelphia as well. So that's what I'm gonna do. Let's go ahead and pop him in blockade mode now. And off you go. Let's put him up here by Cape May, and then we'll fiddle with his placement as necessary afterward. Make sure there's not any forts in here. Nope, looks safe. Yeah, there's like, there's a port here at Newcastle, and then there's several ports here along the southern New Jersey coasts. Now, I don't really know how. Yeah, they're pretty big. 43 million, 45 million, 34 million. So I think that's a fine place for the Mid-Atlantic Blockade Squadron to go. Let's see if that'll reach across there to Baltimore as well, which was the original intention. Now, objectively, it's just a blanket area of effect that it crosses land. Ideally, a fleet in this position should not, the coast should block their area of effect in such a way that, yeah, you can blockade up here, but that doesn't magically allow you to blockade over here too. But that's the way it is. That goes on the laundry list of things they could do to improve the naval side of this game. It's a long list. Okay. And what else? Okay. I think I mentioned in the last episode that we've got enough subsidies for yet another factory. And I was kind of looking down in this area, and there's actually some pretty attractive spots down here. And I think I'm going to put a factory somewhere down in this area. Kind of down in here, we get some pretty attractive spreads between pre-goods and sold goods. It's just a matter of kind of getting an acceptable workforce number. I'm thinking anything above 60% It's not a huge workforce area, but if we can get 60%, that's probably okay. Let's see if we can. Well, dang it. I kind of had scouted out a place and I can't remember where it was. Yeah, I think it was right around here. Right here around Lexington, we get above 60% available workforce, and we get a nice, that's a 16-point spread. So that thing ought to make some money. Now, it's a private company. It's not making money directly for our budget. But I think that that will increase private wealth and just kind of make things better overall in the economy. And it makes more stuff that we need in the economy. And I've already kind of talked about it, but let's look here at, in this tooltip, economy alerts. Over time, the laundry list up there at the top of all the stuff we're short of has slowly been whittled away. We used to have like 10 or 12 items there, and now we're down to 7. One of them is coffee. Nothing you can do about that. It's not produced in the United States. I don't think there's any, and that's true today too, as far as I know. There's just not that combination of climate factors that's good for that crop. So that's just always going to be an import. So of the 6 that we do produce, 4 of those 6 shortages are made in factories. And that includes pretty important stuff like food, gunpowder. I don't know what leather's used for. I think that's probably a consumer good. So that's why I'm prioritizing the factories with the industrial subsidies. One other thing that does kind of pop, we also need a little bit of rice. And so I did build a plantation earlier with agriculture subsidies. But the other thing that's popping up there is flour, which earlier I thought we were okay for flour, but apparently now we are not. And I do have some ag subsidies built up, so I'm going to pop a flour mill as well. And what uses flour? Factories. So I think I'm going to pop a mill, not lumber mill, regular mill, right? Lumber mill produces wood, mill produces flour. And I think I'm just going to kind of pop it right here in the same area. Ooh, wait. Nope. No, we need to find a different spot for this thing. Yeah, the pre-goods are higher than the sold goods all around here. Okay, so this area is not terrible, but we also don't have good workforce in this area. Yeah. Ooh, it's all bad. I might have trouble finding a spot for a mill. Okay, so the price spread is enormous in Texas. We just don't have any workforce of it. Well, maybe up here. Okay, we're kind of getting closer to the ballpark here. Okay, right there we've got almost 30-point spread between pre-good and sold good, and we got 66 available workforce. I think Shreveport is a fine place for a mill, and it is close to both rail and river infrastructure for transport further east. Okay. And with that, let's get time rolling. See what happens. So right here in this lower Ohio state area, we're kind of back to, well, West Virginia militia's up to something. Let's see where Winfield Scott wants to come this time. Well, we're kind of back in a situation where we've been before, in that not only would I like control of the river, but I'd also like to have this rail link across here from Cincinnati to Marietta. And we had actually kind of come in here. We fought a battle against somebody. Okay, our impressment is done. And I think, you know, I talked before about how nothing was really jumping out at me that I wanted to do. I don't want to print notes. I don't want to do war bonds unless I feel like I have to, and I don't feel like I have to yet. Nothing down here is unlocked yet in Chapter 3. Revenue Act. That'll open up income tax. That has to have an effect on private wealth. I'm not a fan of that. I would like to, you know, I'm trying to place these companies in places where they make good profits. So I'd like to, I would rather implement a corporate tax. However, I have to go through 2 levels of income tax, acts, to get to it. And anyway, that's unlocked anyway. It's still locked anyway. Kind of the remaining acts available to us, most of them I feel like their downsides at least equal, if not exceed, their upsides. Civilian warships reduces our river transport capacity, and it's not like we're lacking for crappy little steamers. I don't really feel like I need a few extra regulars troops at the cost of a pretty big hit to military experience. How about this cotton trade thing? Yeah, cotton demand in Europe plus 10%. So I guess we might make a little bit more on tariffs. Not, well, no, because tariffs is on incoming goods. Well, we would just sell more cotton in Europe, so it would help that trade balance a little bit at the cost of minus 5% in public wealth. Without knowing the numbers, and I don't know a good... There's 10%. Let's just see if we can suss out. Well, I'm looking at the wrong one. That's coffee. Well, we're producing about 1 million cotton. There's an overall demand of 337K, but then a lot of that is domestic demand. I don't know what the percentage of foreign demand is. I guess it would make the price of cotton go up a little bit. But we're predicated to make almost 700K in tariffs just on cotton for this year. And so whatever the European demand component of this is, it'll be less than that. Let's just say it's half. That may be wildly off, but let's say that half is domestic and half is European. So essentially a 10% increase in European demand would be %5 overall. So about 15 to 20K more demand for all this cotton that we're overproducing. So that might bump our tariff income to something like, just to be generous, let's say 800,000, which might be wildly off. As a combination of increased demand and that should drive the price up a little bit. Which so let's say we make an extra 100,000 per year on tariffs. And then compare that to a 5% drop in public wealth, which isn't actually a number. I mean, see, I don't know what zero, so it would be something like 0.36, but I don't know what this means. 0.36 what? Or maybe that's 34%. In 38, so if we're at 36%, that would drop our public wealth to 31%, which would be down. You know, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing this. The numbers might work out completely different, but I'm not finding a compelling case. And as I've mentioned before, I want to save my last 3 actual policy slots for military, industrial, and government funding. All of which kind of boils down to, I don't see anything here that I want to take, and I think I'm just going to leave policies alone until Chapter 3 opens, and I think that's going to happen in November. I'm not sure exactly when. I know it's during the winter time of 62 to 63. And that's why I turned on the chapter videos, so I know exactly when it hits. Okay, Anderson's Corps has arrived at Nashville. It's down here. I've also got all these little gunboats finally moving up to... Oh, what's up? Oh, we got another... That's cute. You want to take Louisville. Okay. Now let's slow this down a second. What does the game think Fort Gardner's chances are this time? Not very good. Because he's assaulting again. Oh, here we go. We've done this before. So Joe Johnston's Corps, or actually Samuel Cooper's army, is going to have its first combat experience here, I think. I'm going to come up here and join the siege. A little bit of deja vu. We've kind of had this same exact thing happen before. How big is this army? 21,000. I think it's about the same. Johnson's got, what, 23,000. They're all newbies, though. I don't think they fought yet. And we'll move Cooper up too. I don't think we really need to. He's within command range, but okay. Alright, so they'll come up and join that siege, and then we will soon be able to convert that into a tactical battle. Okay, West Virginia Militia is showing aggressive stance, and looks like they've turned south. I think they want to go to the river again. They either want to cross here or they want to get on the river. That didn't work out too well for them last time. Because I've got even more gunboats on the river now. That's where a lot of these... Oh yeah, I was going to look at... Does Anderson have his brigades yet? I think he does. He does. I'm going to let him come up to green readiness first. Shit. Alright, they were too fast for me. Oh, nope. This... Okay, I think that gunboat's about to die. No, it's not. Well, crap. Johnson did get into the siege, and because he was in the siege, now he's freaking retreating. And the Union has gone to enrollment. Okay, so Johnson is retreating to Harrodsburg. Well, he'll just have to come take it back. That's that. Okay, so we built a plantation to get a little bit more rice. That's completed now. So we have a battle, but what's interesting is, I guess they didn't want Louisville, they just wanted the darn fort. Interesting. Well, that does mess with our gunboat movement up and down the river, so we'll have to deal with that here at some point in the near future. But for right now, we have a battle, and looks like Samuel Heyman has the Army of the Cumberland and the 32nd Army with a combined, what is that, about 33,000 men. And Sidney Johnson has got the Army of Tennessee with about 45,000. So that looks like that's going to be a pretty good battle here. Yet again, just outside Cincinnati. Okay. Well, we're kind of at that point again where if I cut off the episode now, it'll be a little short, but if I fight the battle now, it'll be a little long. I'd rather go with a little short than a little long, so I'm going to go ahead and end this episode here. And we'll do a separate episode for the, I don't know, like the 5th or 6th battle right around Cincinnati. And so, for now, if you like what we're doing with the channel, like the content, then leave a like, leave a comment, maybe even subscribe. But at any rate, thank you very, very much for watching. I really do appreciate it.